In this video, I'm going to show you the best way to shiny hunt every single static alpha Pokemon in Pokemon Legends ZA. Across Lumio City, there are plenty of Pokemon that will always be alpha. These are known as static Pokemon, and I've found a way to shiny hunt every single one. I've put timestamps in the description, so feel free to skip to whatever target you wish to hunt for. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. First, I'm going to start with all of the Wild Zone alphas, which all typically use the same method, though there are a few that are different. And then after, I'm going to cover all of the roaming alphas that can be found on various rooftops and such across the city. I've also put a timestamp on screen now if you just want to skip over to that. Starting us off is the Alpha Pidgey found in the first Wild Zone. Now, all of the Wild Zone hunts are incredibly easy and quick. For this hunt, all you need to do is keep fast traveling to the Pokemon Research Lab. I can understand why you're a bit skeptical about this since you can't even see the shiny, but the way shiny hunting works in this game is every time you fast travel, every Pokemon gets regenerated. Furthermore, every Pokemon within a 50-meter radius will get instantly spawned. The Alpha Pidgey up there is only 40 meters away, as you can see by the marker distance, and therefore, every time you fast travel to the lab, you spawn in a new Alpha Pidgey. And then once every 10 to 15 minutes, maybe just walk up to the wall and see if you hear the sparkle, and if not, go back to fast traveling. And also, you can shiny hunt for Pichu, which isn't a great shiny, but it is really cute, so that's a nice added bonus. What are the odds? Well, every Pokemon has a 1 in 4,096 chance to be shiny. Or, if you have the shiny charm, it's a 1 in 1,024. These will be the odds for every Pokemon in the video, as currently there are no other ways to influence the chance of a Pokemon being shiny. The best part about these kind of hunts is that your game will manually save up to 10 shinies at once. So if you find the shiny Alpha Pidgey and fast travel again to respawn it, it will keep its shininess, assuming you don't have 10 other shinies out there in Lumio City being saved. Next up, we have the Alpha Magikarp or Staryu in the second Wild Zone. Now you're gonna notice a trend for how you shiny hunt most of these static alpha Pokemon in the wild areas, and for this hunt, it's no different. All you need to do is keep fast traveling to the second Wild Zone and look to your right. The Alpha Magikarp will be there. And as for the Alpha Staryu, it takes Magikarp place at night, so the method is the exact same. Now I'm sure most of you guys know how to shiny hunt for the Wild Zone 3 alphas Litleo and Fletchling, but in the odd chance you don't, this is by far the easiest hunt in the entire video, and you can hunt for both of these at the same time. By heading into the third Wild Zone, you can make a left and go up the flight of stairs behind the Alpha Litleo, and at the top, you'll see an Alpha Fletchling. If you head back down the stairs, the game will respawn the wild area Pokemon, which includes the Alpha Litleo, and then if you go back up again, it will respawn the Fletchling, which will reroll their shininess. The easy part about this hunt is all you have to do is hold down on your left stick, and you'll constantly go up and down the stairs trying to get a shiny. And again, since this game does save shinies, you can in theory go until they're both shiny at the same time. Now Wild Zone 4 actually breaks the fast travel trend, since the Alpha Spinarak here isn't close to the fast travel location. Instead, what you have to do is go into the Wild Zone and set a marker, as I already did, in front of the building that it spawns on. Then you have to run away while facing that marker until it reaches around 75, then run back, and you'll notice all of the Spinarak have changed locations because they've respawned. This one's a bit more tedious since the Ghastly can attack you, but in my experience, ignoring them completely makes them eventually go away. Moving on to Wild Zone 5, which has 2 alphas, we'll first talk about Bellsprout. You can kind of do the same method as the last Wild Zone and running back and forth to despawn the Bellsprout, but I think the fast travel method is much better because this respawns all of the Pokemon within a 50-meter radius, whereas the other way doesn't respawn a lot of them. And also because fast traveling to Wild Zone 5 counts as a double if you've unlocked Wild Zone 16. Right behind you is an Alpha Ampharos, and you can even see the Froakie that spawns at the top, which means every time you fast travel, you're resetting for all of these extra Pokemon behind you while you're still going for Bellsprout. It is a bit slower because you have to load into the area and then walk forward a bit, but I personally think that's worth it. As for the Alpha Whirlipede, you'll have to do the back and forth method. Once you've entered the 5th Wild Zone, you'll want to head left to the little water area and follow it down to the sewers. You will need a Pokemon with a poison or water type move to destroy the purple sludge blocking the way. Then run through this tunnel until you see it spawn, turn around, and then run back. I did some testing, and when you're running back, I believe you need to run to the second set of black bars to make sure it respawns a different Whirlipede. As when I kept running to the first set, the Whirlipede would have the same level and gender, which typically means I'm looking at the same Whirlipede rather than a new one. Now fortunately, we get back to nice and easy fast traveling for the Alpha Binacle in Wild Zone 6. You even hear it about 80% of the time as soon as you load in. And the other two alphas in this wild zone, Houndoom and Pikachu, can be hunted at the same time. If you go to the north entrance of the 6th wild zone, there's a cafe you'll unlock as a fast travel that spawns you right in front of the alpha Houndoom, and the alpha Pikachu is right on top of that building, which also gets generated each time you fast travel. You can bet I'll be doing this hunt as soon as I get my shiny charm. Wild zone 7 has an alpha Fletchinder dead center in the middle, which can be hunted by fast traveling to the 7th wild zone over and over again, resetting its shininess, and resetting for a potential shiny Vanillite and Roselia during the day or Sharpedo at night. But sadly, Wild Zone 8 isn't as simple. Now, if you want to find a shiny alpha Camerupt, it's your lucky day because that's easy. Just head to the west entrance of Wild Zone 8, go down these steps until right before you reach the 3rd tree, then run back up and do laps around until it shines. But Krokorok is a different story.
Future Oshwaves editing this video, it actually is much faster to shiny hunt Krokorok if you just keep fast traveling to Wild Zone 8. However, I would like to know that it doesn't always spawn. There have been a few times where, perfect timing, there is a Sandile that spawns where the Krokorok would. And no, he does not spawn in this hole. That's Drillbur. You could also just hunt Camerupt this way too. You would just have to take a few extra steps, but that will take a while. And this Sandile won't go away. Okay, wait, hold on. I've reset 4 times and he keeps showing up. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, it's just like luck thing. Everywhere online, I've read that this Krokorok will always be here, but as you clearly just seen, that's not the case. 3 different times, 3 consecutive times, in fact, he did not show up.
Now, Wild Zone 9 is kind of tricky. This place has an alpha Manectric and also an alpha Meowstic. And if you just want to do Meowstic, then it's stupidly easy. Fast travel to the 9th Wild Zone and enter. I went the long way because I'm stupid, but go up these stairs and up the ladder, go onto the roof, and then jump off to your right, climb up the next ladder you'll see to the very top, and start doing laps around the roof. I will note that you do need to go behind this little building thing on top of the roof, otherwise you won't respawn the Meowstic. But if you want to hunt Manectric, there's 2 different ways. One is by going up to the rooftops where Mawile is, running to the bottom left corner of the Wild Zone, then running across the roofs using this little connector, seeing Manectric spawn, running back to the corner, and so on. This also does work for Meowstic too, which is a nice little bonus, but if you aren't paying attention, it's pretty easy to accidentally fall off the roof. There is a ladder you can climb back up, but this will definitely get annoying pretty fast. But there's another method I've been avoiding talking about because it's not as fast, but it is much more simple. Bench resetting. Bench resets allow you to change the time to day or night in game, and in doing so you also respawn every Pokemon within a 50-meter radius. However, this takes a bit because of the cutscene that has to play during the transition. The nice thing about this method is all you have to do is keep changing between day or night until you find whatever shiny you're looking for. So if you want laid-back, chill shiny hunts that are a bit slower, bench resetting is your go-to. Wild Zone 10. This place is weird. It's got an alpha Sharpedo, an alpha Watchog, and an alpha Arbok. Now I'm just gonna tell you guys to bench reset here. To hunt Sharpedo, you have to go in and out of the Wild Zone and then some distance, and that takes around the same amount of time as a bench reset would. And where the bench is located is actually right in between all 3 of the alphas and also every other Pokemon in the Wild Zone, so this is just by far the best spot. I'd also like to quickly note there is another alpha Arbok found later in a story location that I'm not going to cover because honestly this way is just much faster. And we're going back to back at 2-for-1 hunts as Wild Zone 11 is home to alpha Slowbro and alpha clawitzer. And to shiny hunt these 2 Pokemon, you actually want to fast travel to Wild Zone 6. From there, make a 180 turn and then turn right onto this bridge and run towards the entrance. As you approach, you'll notice an alpha Slowbro on the right and alpha clawitzer on the left. From here, you just run back until you reach the bridge and then run towards the entrance again. Nice and easy, let's move on. Wild Zone 12. A once lovely park now overtaken by ice types. Here you can find an alpha Avalugg in the water and an alpha Abamasnow just walking around. And we're going 3 for 3 on double hunts. If you fast travel to the 12th Wild Zone, enter and make a left to this stairway, you don't even need to go down, just stand in the corner and you'll see both alphas spawn in. Then it's just a matter of running backwards into the far back corner and repeating. Wild Zone 13 offers an alpha Weepinbell during the day or Trevanant at night. For Trevanant, just fast travel to the Wild Zone, run up to the gate like a little kid who's looking through a window of a candy store, then run back until the road gets cut off and run forward again. Rinse and repeat, pretty straightforward. And Weepinbell is the same method too, you just need to do it on the opposite entrance instead. The 14th Wild Zone has alpha Excadrill, which finally brings us back to fast traveling, but unfortunately this one's a little bit slower. You have to enter the Wild Zone, run forward a bit until you see the Excadrill, Beedrill, and then fast travel again. But you'll get spotted by Aeron or Lairon at the entrance, which will prevent you from fast traveling sometimes. If this happens, you just have to run back and exit the wild zone, then fast travel again to respawn this alpha. Definitely more on the tedious side, but this is still much faster than any other Pokemon game we've seen before. Wild Zone 15 is home to Alpha Gourgeist at all times, Alpha Beedrill during the day, and Alpha Banette at night, both in the same spot, which means this hunt is the same both ways. You'll want to fast travel to the hotel northwest from the 15th Wild Zone, and then enter said Wild Zone, run a few steps, leave, and then what I like to do is to loop around the streetlight before re-entering. The Beedrill and Banette are just around the corner to the right from the Gourgeist, which is why we take the extra few steps after entering just to make sure they spawn in. Now we have already covered Wild Zone 16, but just as a reminder, you actually fast travel to Wild Zone 5 over and over again, which spawns you right in front of the Alpha Ampharos. You don't have to turn around, the audio cue will play by itself, I just am for the demonstration. Wild Zone 17 is the worst Wild Zone out there. There is a pride of lions that are willing to throw hands with you on sight. However, there's two alphas here and an Alpha Pyroar and an Alpha Mawile on the rooftop, and hunting here isn't actually that bad. I discovered that if you come at night, the Pyroar will be sleeping instead of hunting, and this allows you to get close enough to spawn in the Alpha Mawile easily. And for hunting it, just go towards the east entrance, walk into about where the closest Pyroar is, turn around and leave, run back until a little bit after the ground changes, and then from there you rinse and repeat. Alpha Salamence. I can't wait to hunt this one. The method is pretty simple. Just fast travel to Wild Area 18, hug the entrance similar to Weepinbell, and you can either fast travel again and repeat, or run backwards until you see the Rouge District pop up, and then run back. Either works and it's completely up to you. This wild zone also has an Alpha Lopunny, and I personally think the best way to hunt it is to fast travel to Quasartico, and then run right towards the entrance and repeating that process. Sometimes you'll even get to see it inside, which I personally like more, just because it makes finding it that much more fun. Our second to last area is Wild Zone 19, which can have Alpha Clefairy at night, which does an adorable little dance ritual. Just ignore the dogs barking in the background. The other alphas here are Drampa only during the morning and Furfrou during the day. Since they're all in the same spot, the method to hunt them all is the same and is one of the easier ones for sure. Fast travel to the 19th Wild Zone, enter and run up between these bushes to prevent you from taking damage, since there's almost always a Kangaskhan spawn camping you like it's Black Ops 2. Once you see the alpha spawn in, leave the wild area and fast travel to reset the spawns and repeat. And finally, we've made it to Wild Zone 20. There's two different fast travels here which you can use to check the alpha Pokemon in the middle, and I personally prefer to use the Centrico Plaza instead, as the route to the middle is typically a lot safer. And what I mean by that is you're a lot less likely to get spotted by a Pokemon, which means you'll be able to fast travel out, whereas if you fast travel to the Wild Zone itself, the route is sometimes safe, but oftentimes there's Dragalge which will block your path and spot you, making you have to run back to the exit and then reload. But the Plaza fast travel does make you have to take a few steps before entering, so it's up to you. As for what Pokemon can be alpha, well, there's a total of 67. Oh my god, Game Freak, why is there a 6-7 joke in this game? I've put all of the Pokemon you can find on screen now, but there's a lot. And now I'm going to show you how to shiny hunt all of these static alpha Pokemon that aren't in the wild zones, which there's actually a decent amount. Now, there are a few places you can find the elemental monkeys alpha, but the easiest way to shiny hunt them by far is actually at Wild Area 4. When you fast travel here, it puts you right in front of the west entrance, and the building behind you actually has 4 of the monkeys spawn with an alpha. Fortunately, it's within the 50-meter spawn radius, which means every time you fast travel, you'll be spawning in a new alpha monkey. The problem is that it's random as to which monkey specifically, so if you have a target in mind, that hunt might take a bit. Now, I don't think you'll hear the sparkle, given that it is relatively far away, so I'd recommend doing 10 to 20 minutes of fast traveling, then going back to check and see if there's a shiny. There's a Holovator only a few steps to the right behind you that lifts you up, then you just make a right and climb on top of the roof, and you'll see a gang of monkeys chilling across from you. I would like to note that you will need the Roto Glide feature to make it over to the monkeys, and you get that after fighting the Rogue Mega Beedrill around in the middle of the story. For Alpha Garbodor, you have to fast travel to the Pokemon Center on the very right side of the map, go up the stairs, and you'll see a small alleyway with a ladder to your right. Take it up and follow the rooftops as I do. You'll have to make a jump over here, so you will need the Rotoglide feature yet again, and in between these buildings, you'll find an Alpha Garbodor. And there are some conveniently placed benches here that will allow you to bench reset until the Scarboder shines. Now, if you prefer a bigger, smaller trash bag, Alpha Trubbish is a simple bench reset hunt. Fast travel to the second Wild Zone area, go left and left again into the alleyway, and then make another left into this little park area and use these benches to reset. Once you hear the shiny sparkle, you'll have to fast travel to the cafe to your left. There are so many lefts in this method. Finally breaking the trend, go up the Holovator to your right, follow the rooftops as I do, use your Rotom Glide to get over, and you'll be able to look down on your shiny Trubbish. Alpha Flebebe is found on the building right behind the player when you fast travel to the Justice Dojo. Now, I can't say for certain if you'll hear the shiny sparkle because it's on a building, but it's also close enough to where I'd believe it if you did. Of course, just to be safe, I'd say check every 10 to 15 minutes of fast traveling, and to do that, you just need to make a right, climb up the ladder, go up the building, and your Flebebe will be right behind you. Alpha Swirlix can be found on the shorter rooftop at the Nouveau Cafe, and to hunt this, you'll just need to spam fast travels until you hear a sparkle, which you absolutely will because of how close it is. And when you do hear that sparkle, you'll need to fast travel to the Cafe Gelat just down the road. Just a quick reminder that 10 shinies will be saved at once, so you won't lose this one, assuming you don't have 10 other shinies floating around out in Lumio City. You'll then need to go up this Holovator, follow the rooftops as I do, and watch yourself on this turn because it's a little bit tight and you could fall off the roof. Which, if you did, you just have to go back and try again. And boom, you can catch the Alpha Swirlix. Now, its counterpart Spritzee is easier to get to, but isn't easier to hunt. But I think it's worth it because the potential phases are pretty sick. By the way, a phase is when you find a shiny that isn't what you're looking for. Fast travel to the 18th Wild Zone, then do a 180 turn and go up the Holovator. Make a left and go up the ladder, then you'll have to roll and do a Rotom Glide, but you'll make it over safely. I ran to the side on the right, but you could just go straight past the Spritzee, and you'll just want to do laps around the railing where you'll see Larvitar spawn and the static Alpha Monkey from before. Once you make a full loop, just walk right off and do a Rotom Glide to get back up to the other side. Hello, little editor's note, you could also just go back and forth between looking at the monkey and looking at the Alpha Spritzee. However, I think the Larvitar check is way more fun. There's also an Alpha Kakuna near the Northwest Cafe that you can hunt incredibly easily by just fast traveling over and over until you hear the shiny sparkle. And when you do hear it, you just need to run left again, turn left again into the alleyway, and there it is. Oh yeah, you'll need a Pokemon with fighting or ground type attacks to break these rocks. For Alpha Pidgeot, just fast travel to the Hiberno Pokemon Center in the top right of the map, go up this Holovator, run towards the ladder, and on top of the screen you'll notice the Alpha Pidgeot spawn, then just run backwards till you reach the bushes, then run back and repeat. Alpha Patrat is up next and can be found by fast traveling to the Cafe Cyclone right under the second Wild Zone. Passing by the Alpha Magikarp, so this does act as a double, run through this opening and you'll see Patrat here. Then just fast travel back to respawn it and check again. And that is how you shiny hunt for every static alpha Pokemon within Legends ZA. If you find any shiny alphas using these methods, tweet me them on Twitter or join my Discord server to flex them, both of which are linked in the description below. I want to give a quick shout out to my channel members whose names are on screen now. Your guys' ongoing additional support is greatly appreciated. Seriously, thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I wish you the best of luck on your shiny hunts.